Hello. Hello.
Bonk, bonk.
Mom.
People will miss it if they're listening.
They gotta know. I am Raphael Bob Wagsberg, the creator of BoJack Horseman, and I'm here with...
I'm also Raphael Bob Wagsberg. We were double booked. This is
very awkward.
Weird.
I'm very sorry.
I'm kidding around because it's a comedy show. I know you like comedy.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Paul F. Tompkins. I essay the role of Mr. Peanut Butter.
Who is barely in this episode.
Barely.
But
I don't know why I'm here for this one.
You play assorted other characters as well, some of which
true.
are here.
Am I one of these people in line?
I don't think so.
Do you remember?
No, I think that's Mike O'Malley talking to BoJack there. And that, of course, is Will Arnett and Allison Brie.
Yes.
And who else is in the room with us?
Linda Lamonte.
And who are you?
I am the casting director.
You are the casting director who found this man.
Yeah, well,
That's true.
I mean, I asked for him.
Linda
You
They
did
know
ask
me.
for him. I was going to say, you requested
I
him.
said I want Paul F. Tompkins.
That's right.
But no one knew where I
Yes.
was, and Linda did find me.
So, Paul, you were one of the last main characters to be cast on the show.
Yes.
But not the last, because Allison ended up getting cast after you, because we had somebody else who then fell out, and then Allison came in, which is a story for another time.
That's right.
But for this time, what do you remember about being this offer coming to you, or how it was presented, or what your first impressions of this show were?
My agent sent me a script and said, you have this offer. And I read the script. I thought it was funny. I didn't know any more than that, really. Raphael and I had never met before, and I didn't know, I wasn't familiar with any of his previous work, and I didn't look anything up or anything. I was just like, I responded to the material, and but I also, it was not an offer to be a season regular. It really was just, you want to come guest on this cartoon. And I read the script, thought it was funny, I said yes. And when my character was brought back a couple times, I think it was maybe the third episode that I was a part of, that the script ended on a serious emotional turn. And that was when I realized that this was a very different project than I knew that it was. Mm-hmm. I was not prepped in any way that it's going to be this
We didn't tell
really interesting show that's going to take
any of the actors. I don't think Will and Aaron knew either. And then I remember, because we'd have these table reads, and the season gets progressively darker, and it was really fun to look around the room and see the reactions on everyone's faces.
It was great.
As they were discovering it for the first time.
It was great. I loved it, and I've loved it ever since. All the subsequent table reads we had, where big moments would happen and endings would be sad or unresolved. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. This has been such a fun thing to be a part of, and that's one of the big reasons.
Yeah, I remember when we were casting Mr. Peanut Butter. First of all, so he was not a character in our pilot presentation, just because we only had 10 minutes to tell a story, and I just didn't have room for all the characters. But it was always my intention that Mr. Peanut Butter was going to be a regular character on the show, and I think I did not maybe adequately communicate that to the other producers or to you, Linda, or apparently your people. And I think also maybe there's a budget thing of let's bring him as a guest star first of all. Even though we always know the plan was always that he was going to be one of the ensemble. But I remember there's some confusion early on. Okay, we'll have Paul do this one. Oh no, Paul's not in this episode. This is not a Peanut Butter episode, so we don't have Paul.
Right.
You can't do a voice in this one.
Right.
Right, because we only have him for the episodes that we've hired him for, because he's not technically a regular cast member until season 2.
He became full-fledged in
Yes.
season 2.
Yes. Although we put him in the credits of season 1
Yeah,
anyway,
it was season 1. I remember Noel called me up and said, we were so... we love the job that you're doing on the show, and we're going to retroactively make you a cast member and put your name in the credits. And that's not something that happens every day, and I was extremely touched by that.
You are a wonderful part of the show, And even though it was always my plan to make Mr. Peanut Butter a regular, if you had done a bad job, we would have you out.
Absolutely.
So it worked out, and you've played many other characters on the show. You've really been like I said, a guy who plays a lot of characters on the show.
That part of it is really fun for me, and to get to do it at the table reads and on the actual show itself. I like to do voices, and I did not know that would be a part of it when I signed up to do this, but I was, and it felt like it happened gradually.
Yes,
it happened very gradually.
It was kind of like, who do we have? Who can we pull? And like, oh, Paul can really do this. These other things. Right. You and Allison are kind of our chameleons on the show, whereas Will and Aaron always kind of sound like Will and Aaron. Although Aaron's played a couple other parts, and Amy also has played a couple other parts.
Will only plays characters in the same family, right?
Yes, he only plays himself and his dad.
Yeah. Yes.
That's right. Will has not done anything else. There's actually, in this episode, because we have all the Boston characters, we asked Will if he wanted to do a Boston thing, because I think he enjoys making fun of Boston. And he said no, he thought that would be confusing in this episode. I also remember when I first...
Oh, that's why. It would be confusing.
He didn't want to do more work. But here's Will playing against Will. And then I think we also originally had Amy in the presentation. Amy played BoJack's mom in the flashback.
Oh wow!
But then I think it sounded a little too. Once I realized, actually later in the season, I realized the mother was going to become a much bigger character, and I was worried that tying that to Amy was going to be a problem later on when she had more and more to do. So we brought Wendy in. Wendy Malick,
who's terrific,
amazing, and has been wonderful on the show. And I remember because it was already animated, we had to dub over, and she listens to because you have to you play the scene as it is, and then she has to match the cadence for these earlier ones in the season that had already been animated. And she goes, "Is that Amy Sedaris? Is that my friend Amy Sedaris? Am I replacing Amy Sedaris?" I had to explain, no, she's playing a much bigger role. Don't worry, we didn't fire Amy. She's still on the show too. But I remember for Mr. Peanut Butter, in my initial conception of the role, he was a much jockier character, almost like a Patrick Warburton type, kind of like a big meathead kind of thing. And then I think because we had cast Will and Aaron, who both have these very deep voices, I thought having that there too would also just be like a lot of
testosterone.
So not to say Paul is lacking in testosterone.
No, I didn't say that either.
But
hey, it's me, Mr. Peanut Butter.
Yeah, there you go.
What's up, guys? Hey, I love tennis balls.
So this is an example of the many voices Paul can do.
Yes.
But then I'd be like, but Paul has like a lighter affect to him that he can bring in, kind of bounce off them in a different way. And I remember when you came in, your first attempt, because it's a dog, I think you did like kind of a growly kind of thing. And I very quickly said,
"Oh my God, did I?
You remember this? Yeah. Well,
no,
because you made a choice. And for the first episode, it was I'll try. If it says a dog, I'll do a dog. And then I had to say, no, we just want your regular voice. He said, oh, okay.
Did this happen at the table read?
No, I think it was in the record.
Oh, thank God.
I remember you in the booth being like, trying something
I would
else.
remember that trauma, I think, if it was in front of everyone. No, it was like, hey, you're doing it wrong.
I correct you in front of the whole room.
No, but the table reads were always great because this group of actors always connected with each other. They locked eyes with each other.
They really acted.
Yeah, that was impressive to me. It's always been impressive.
And the records themselves are not that. It's just me and you. And Paul, you've said a lot that you enjoy the table reads for that aspect. You can play off the actors and then sense memory what that's like.
Yeah, because it's like I primarily do comedy, and so I don't often get to play scenes with this much emotional depth in them, and so that's kind of the one chance you get to do it with the other person is at those table reads. And the seasons to come where Mr. Peanut Butter has relationships and getting to do that stuff with people live, just reading it off the page, and those few seconds of eye contact that you get, it was a blast. And there's at least once after, I would say probably once the second season got going, once a table read, I would think to myself, is there any way to do this live? Is there a way we could actually all be together doing this?
I would love that.
like a weird stage show, you
Yes.
know,
Well,
where
I think they've done that. I've heard other shows do things like that.
other animated shows.
I think Archer's done that a couple times.
Well, but they're people.
What does that mean?
Well, their characters are people.
Oh, you mean like do like an animal thing live, like with like?
Well, is there
Lion
a way
King's
with
Julie Taymor animal
exactly,
heads?
exactly? Is there a way? Is there a way to just have the suggestion of you know an animal costume?
Wow, that's
you know,
much more ambitious. That's interesting. I
like a head with your head sticking out.
Michael
you know.
Eisner cornered me at his last BoJack party.
Ordered me.
He didn't corner me. I went
Jabbed
up,
a finger
I
in my
went,
chest.
I went up to him and I said, "Hello, Michael. How are you?" And then we got into a conversation. And he said, "Broadway musical, BoJack Horseman. You got to do it."
You got
There
it.
you go.
Yeah.
There you
And
go.
you know, from anyone else, I would think that's nonsense. But I'm like, oh, this is the guy who did Lion King on Broadway. Like he was running Disney
Right.
when they started
Yeah.
doing Broadway musicals.
Yeah.
So maybe, and
It's not
no
that
one,
crazy
no
an
one would
idea.
think that was a good idea.
Right.
And clearly it was. So yes, if we can get Julie Taymor, I think that might be the missing piece we're looking for.
I mean, I honestly think it's doable because everyone's upright, you know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like,
Like,
I think cast availability is difficult.
true.
And then to
Yes.
say, okay, Will, we know you're busy. We're going to put you in a giant horse head.
How busy is he?
He's a busy guy.
Come on.
He's got kids. He's got a life, career.
Hey, look, who doesn't?
He's doing Lego Batman stuff. That takes time.
Takes
That's the
time.
promotion more than anything. Let me
You
tell
can
you
do that
something.
on Mondays.
Let me
You can do
let me
Lego
tell
Batman.
you what I learned from working on this show, because this show, we were making the first season when the Lego Movie came out, with which Will and Allison are both in. And I remember seeing all the promotion they were doing for that movie.
Yeah.
And also being very aware of how much time it takes to record 20 minutes of content for an actor.
Yeah.
And realizing like, oh, that's the job.
Right.
Like that's the
Yeah.
That, I mean, you know, obviously there's a lifetime of talent that goes into recording in a booth for an hour, and you know,
Yeah.
and knowing the character and being that funny and that on and finding the ridiculous. And it is a real talent, but also like, oh, but the time commitment is going on Kimmel, going on this, doing that,
Yeah.
making this appearance. Like
The
that's
job is trying to get people to watch the thing that you did.
that's that's not why anybody got into it, right?
No, but it is. It's. I think the adjustment you make, and it comes to everyone at a different time, is you realize that you are being paid for your time.
Mm-hmm.
You're not necessarily being paid for your talent. Like they're giving you this money so that you will go and promote the thing, and you will help them make money.
Right.
And the thing that you get to do. Not that you have to do, is you get to do the performance. You know, that's the fun part, and that's the part where you can really.
That's the part you do for free.
Yeah, exactly. That's the part you would do for free, and you know, all of the other stuff is worth that time that you get to live doing the artistic part. You know, and then it makes the rest of it not so bad. And it's also, depending on the project, you want people to see it, you know, so you don't mind
enthusiastic.
going out
You're
and
not
promoting it.
acting.
Yeah.
Say,
Yeah.
Check out this cool thing I'm in.
Like when we do these, you know, these events for BoJack, and we do panels and stuff like that. I love doing that. You know, it's always fun, and even though I end up telling the same 4 stories over and over again.
I feel like I prompt you for the same story, so that's on
That's
me.
right. We've settled. The BoJack family has settled into a nice rhythm of here's the stories we tell. But it's great. You know, because I like to see everybody. I like to see the actual people that are fans of the show and are curious about it, and that are invested in it, have questions about it. It's a really wonderful thing, and I'm sure that, like, you know, years from now, there's going to be, you know, convention stuff. I'm sure there's going to be some Comic-Con panel. I'm sure there's going to be
Broadway
you know,
musical.
Yes. Tony Award winning.
Yes.
nominated at the very
At the
least.
very least. Come on.
What's this guy?
This is a maggot, which doesn't quite make sense because maggots are baby flies.
Right.
You wouldn't have an old maggot. We thought, who would run a funeral home? And this is Patton doing one of his many voices he does for the show as well.
Oswald.
Patton Oswalt. Thank you, Linda. It's not General Patton. Paul?
Yeah,
I
me.
think you are very talented at what you do here on the show.
Thank you very much.
I concur.
I am always impressed by your performance,
Thank
both
you.
at the table reads and in the booth.
Yes.
Thank you.
What do you think makes a good voiceover actor, or what have you internalized or thought about? Like, how do you prepare? What do you think the job is?
Man, it's I struggle with this because first of all, voiceover is a very closed off world. It's a very difficult world to crack, and if I had not been just offered this part, I don't know that I would have gotten it otherwise, because although this show is different than a lot of shows, but there's like for years there was a sort of a voiceover club. It was the same handful of people that did literally all the voices that you would hear on cartoons. Yeah. They would do kids shows,
all
they would do
very
adult
talented.
shows. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Jim Cummings, Rob Paulson.
Yeah, Tom Kenny and God, what's his name? Wyatt. We worked together on a show years ago, but
Jim Cummings.
I said Jim
you
Cummings.
said Jim Cummings. First name.
I said it, Linda.
Sorry.
But it's like, the few times that I did get to do it, it's so different from on-screen acting, because on screen you're with other people. You have the direction is a little bit different by virtue of what's going on, and so a lot of times with voiceover, people will give you line readings, and the idea is to simplify things, move it along, and because it's just you in a booth and you're saying it, they're saying like, try it like this, and as an actor, you are conditioned to reject that. And it's a rare actor who welcomes line readings. Like, I've heard of a few who are like, I love it. Just tell me, like, give me the cadence the way you want to say it. But most actors are brought up with the idea that that's the last thing you want, is that you're supposed to get to it together, like you're going to figure it out. The director leaves it open to your interpretation. And so in voiceover, because you're most of the time you're in the booth by yourself, 99% of the time, and you're just saying the lines over and over again. You're giving different reads on the lines. It was a struggle for me for a while to lose my ego about it, and realize that it was a different animal. Pardon the pun. But that it wasn't about somebody. I was not being told, you don't know how to say this, which is what a line reading feels like.
Yeah.
It's like, a line reading feels like, you don't know how to say this, you're never going to get it. So let me just say it. So let me just say it, and you repeat it like a parrot. You know what I mean? And so it's hard because you feel like, well, I'm not bringing anything to this. Like, if you're just telling me how to say it, why does it have to be me? It could be literally anyone. It makes you feel that, it can make you feel that you are not part of the artistic process, So when I had to realize, like, well, this is the case in a lot of voiceover that I've done. So and I've talked to other people about it. I know that it's not me, so it just must be the process. So I have to let go of taking the process personally, if that makes sense, But it was a thing that I struggled with for a while. It really did feel like, because people would compliment me on my performance on the show, and I would feel like a fraud. I would be like,
Really?
I don't
On this
know.
show?
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't give line readings.
No,
I try
you
not
don't.
to.
You don't. But
Never.
But it's because of
Occasionally I will, but I try not to.
because of the nature of it. Because you're doing 5 lines in a row, slightly different. Whatever. It does. I started to feel like, what am I really? If I'm just giving every possible variation of this,
Right. The choice is being made by the editor.
Yes, it doesn't feel the same as
that is what
which is essentially what you're doing with on-screen acting. You're acting with some, but it's not to that degree.
But what I tell people when they come in, a lot of actors who have not done voice acting before, which is sometimes counterintuitive, is that I might give you different directions in different ways because we're not trying to hone in on the correct take. We don't need to find it here. We're looking for as many options as we can get.
Yeah.
And so what I'm really looking for in a voiceover actor is someone who can give me as many options as they can, because when we're editing the scene together with the other person in the scene, if you're going big and they're going small, it's not going to go together. But if we have takes of you big, takes of you small, and I actually think there is a real talent in being able to give multiple convincing takes in different directions, and I wouldn't undersell yourself on that because you are very good at that.
Well, thank you.
And some
But it
actors
took me a while
are not
to
as
understand.
good, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
like
yeah.
some actors come in and you go, all right, give me 5 different versions, and they give you like slight moderations on the same thing 5 times,
Right.
And or they give you 5 different versions where 4 of the versions are not a way anyone would say that sentence,
Right.
You need to find like what are the 5 different ways that this could still work, presumably.
Yes.
Even though when I read it, my first instinct is very clear it should be said like this.
Yeah.
How do I then go back and just try other stuff that also will work?
Absolutely.
And that and I think being good at that is like a real skill of a good voiceover actor.
Well,
It is.
the real skill a voiceover actor needs is get to be the first in the booth, because then you dictate how the other person has to say their lines.
Okay. So it's up to
Right.
scheduling
You
here.
Well,
set
especially when
look, that's what I'm learning.
there are occasional moments where we do need characters to say something in unison. Where then the first person who comes
Right.
in, everyone else has to like go to the
Right.
track of that
Yeah.
person.
Exactly. It's the
Sometimes they'll,
pole
like,
position.
Say it kind of weird, and then I get like
Absolutely.
6 other actors being like, "I gotta say it like that." All right.
I've been in situations where, not this show, but where a director has given a line reading and the actor has blasted out of there
it's-
so fast and never
Actors
came
hate
back.
it. Well, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
will
they
I will
totally hate
say
it.
that because I direct all the actors on the show. And occasionally an actor will say, like, I don't care, give me a line reading. I just want to hear how you do it. And sometimes I will, but more often I refuse, because I feel like the times I have given a line reading, I say it, and then I hear myself go, oh no, that's not how it's supposed to be. Because it's like, I'm not as good an actor as these people. And so like, there's a rhythm in my head that I'm looking for, but I don't always know how to get it myself. And it's a lot of times when you're giving a line reading, it's because you're so married to this rhythm in your head that you can't hear the performance you're getting works just as well.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I learned very early on in this show is to trust that my actors know what they're doing, and be open to like other interpretations, like, and not go, that's not how I heard, and go, oh yes, that works too.
Yeah.
And then I think also a lesson I learned very early on is the fact that with my regular actors, you're coming back. And so if we don't get it, we can get it another time.
Right.
I don't need to like get 100 takes until you get me that perfect take. Because I remember early on being like, I don't know if we got this line, and then hearing in the edit, like, oh, we got it. What was I being so precious about?
Right.
But if we need to pick something up, we don't need to like rent out the stadium and bring in the fog machine. You know, it's like very easy. Oh, the next time the actor comes back, we'll just get now that I know, I have a better sense of what I'm looking for because I hear it in the edit and I hear what I'm missing. So I've tried to take a lighter touch in directing, because more and more, we hire good actors, and Linda, you hire the best.
Thank you. You have great taste.
So they know what they're
Paul.
doing.
Yes. The same goes for me when I'm casting too.
Yeah.
Is I try to be open-minded about the material, because early on I was also conditioned to one way, and like if I didn't get it from that one person that way, I was gonna just try to work it out and become a master class. So, and they'd come out sweating and go, I'm not sure.
Because also I think sometimes you can hear it in the take when it feels tortured and forced.
Yeah, well, yes.
And the joy is sucked out of it. Like I've given line readings and they do it exactly the way I said, and it's like, oh, it sounds fake and sarcastic.
But you can feel
And
it
it sounds
too.
like you hate me.
When
Yes.
it's real. When it's real, I actually physically feel it in my body. So it's
So much a part of, we all have kind of the same story that, a big part of collaboration is being able to let stuff go.
Yeah.
And you can't just get married. Like, as much of a control freak as I can be with stuff that I make myself, I absolutely had to make myself say, your way is not necessarily the end. There's many other interpretations of things that people could enjoy just as much, and you just gotta let go. It can't, because you drive yourself crazy.
And I think part of that too is you have to work with collaborators that you can allow yourself to trust.
Yes.
Right? Like
For
I
sure.
think that ego comes back when you feel like nobody gets what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
And you feel like, oh, this guy is also a genius, or this woman is also brilliant, and it's very easy to be like, oh, well, your way is probably just as good as my way. Why? I'm not an expert. And I think one of the challenges of being creative and collaborating is figuring out when you need to kill your own darlings or sacrifice something, and when you need to stick to your guns and be like, no, I really think this is the way to go.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to figure out.
No. Oh, do we get to talk over the Spanish credits?
No, that's not included.